person who is a she-male ceases to exist in a form that can be defined as male, they get outside of the definition of a man. Therefore, a person who has sex with them cannot be identified as a person who is having sex with a man, because the person you are having sex with is not defined as a man. Homosexuality is the action of a man having sex with a man with sexual attraction, and that is the reason why having sex with females is not gay. It's not heterosexual either, but it is indeed not gay.
It's
I
gay.
think there's different definitions of homosexual, by the way.
It's
So-
violently gay. Yeah, it's not sexually gay. It's violently gay.
No,
It's
it's
a gay
It can
act.
be either attraction or just a sexual act.
If it's a gay act, the thing you've done can be called gay. I mean, maybe not your sexuality, but the act you've just did can be called gay. Like, oh, Sid did a gay thing. Or
Okay.
it can be said though as you're turning gay,
a
and
gay.
everyone would be right.
The things is that we socially consider as gay do not entail that a person should be defined as gay, because there's a difference between defining somebody as the wholeness of that functionality and a person who seldomly or uniquely does an action that is attributed to such a group of people.
I see, but can I ask you what's so charming to you about fucking your enemies?
It is not charming to me. I'm merely discussing possibilities. I would never do
So,
such.
so you're thinking of a possibility that you may like rape your enemies.
No, I would not include myself in this possibility. I personally would never do that, but
But you've kind of said that before.
No, I did not say that
No,
at
you
all.
did say that before.
I was talking
Yes, you
about.
did.
No, I was clearly talking about possibilities. There's a
Fuck
difference
that
between.
possibility. You were talking about yourself. Even the fact that you're viewing that shit as a possibility and not considering it gay
No,
means that you're up to it.
Considering a possibility does not entail owning that specific
But you would do it.
possibility.
You would
No.
do it to your enemies if that's a
No,
possibility.
I categorically denied that just right now.
Then why
Consi-
consider such fucked up shit?
What do
Like
you mean?
ass fucking your enemies.
No,
What's
it is
that?
a
Like
possibility
that
that
scene from
exists.
pop
No,
culture.
this is
It's like that scene from Pop Fiction.
This is not pop. You have to realize that throughout history, these things have happened, and since they
So
have
people
happened,
So you say in throughout history, people have ass fucked their enemies.
people
Oh,
have
that's-
ass fucked their enemies. People have
this
skull
must
fucked
be
their
gay
enemies.
as fuck.
People have made incisions in their abdomen and fucked that. People have made incisions in their butt cheeks just to deny them the pleasure of ass fucking and fucked that. People have fucked.
Where the fuck did you learn that? Sounds
Try to
disgusting.
study what the Mongols do.
Who the fuck in his right mind would do that?
Well, to be
Like
fair,
drilling
like
a hole in his, like drilling
there
a hole
are-
in his butt cheek and fucking that. No, that's also gay. Like inserting your dick into organs is also gay. Like inserting your dick into any part of a male as a male is
So look,
gay.
hang on just a second, Punk, because you might want to like familiarize yourself with these strange cases
What the
first,
fuck is
right?
that?
What is wrong with y'all?
There are
Patty is
places.
talking about ass fucking his enemies.
Okay,
No,
I'm
not
just
my
gonna shut
enemy.
up.
I am not talking
Wait,
about myself.
I'm confused. Is he saying it's not okay for males to do it, but it's okay for males to do to females?
I think so.
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
am not
Yo,
talking about that. I'm not talking about that at all. We are defining gayness, and we are saying that
defining gayness?
Yes,
We defined
yes.
you gay.
because that topic just came up. Apparently, whenever I'm in a VC, things start to become very
Sid,
kinky.
you surely defined your imagination gay.
My imagination is violent.
Yeah, it's violently gay.
So, as a homosexual myself, I'm curious. If I've had sex with a woman, was that action straight?
That action was straight.
So, an action can be straight independent of my sexuality. So, my act of being
Exactly.
gay and me
Exactly.
being gay are two different things in your mind.
Well,
Yeah.
if you weren't forced to do it, if you set up your mind to have intercourse with a woman, then it's you becoming straight for that while,
You do not
know.
become something just
You
because of a
can.
sole incident. No. Act
I didn't
entailing.
say it was an incident. I said if he set up
Because he
his
could not
mind and
like
went
it
to
and
fuck
then
up.
be like, oh yeah, I'm gay.
You do not become straight just by doing something that a straight person does.
I didn't say just by doing it. I said by deciding to do it yourself.
Whatever you do, but
Because
even
halfway through,
If
he
you
could
decide to
decide
do it,
that,
even
oh, I don't
no,
if
like
you
it.
decide,
you
then
do
that
not
means
become.
you're thinking of.
No, you have to realize. If we go by that, then the whole discussion in regards to homosexuality, even existing, even it being a right, is diminished completely.
So, wait a second, I have a
What is he
question.
talking about?
I have a question. So, if, for instance, a straight man is walking down the street and someone takes him to a back alley and rapes him against his will, is he doing a gay thing?
The rapist or the victim?
The victim.
The victim is not doing anything because his will was not enacted upon.
The victims just attacked homosexually. That's the thing.
Yes, but that would not entail him being homosexual or heterosexual,
Right.
because right that point, the question of sexuality was not raised. It was
Sid's right.
that he was violated.
So, consent is necessary for the action to be gay.
No,
Gayness is both an
consent is
action.
necessary. Consent is necessary for an action to be defined, gay or straight or anything else. This does not even
That's fine. So,
remain in
I
the
wasn't
realm of sexuality.
specifying to gayness. I was making a point about what we're saying. So, we're saying that if an action is non-consensual, then it can't be gay.
It cannot be. It cannot be defined.
And an action can be gay irrespective of the sexuality of the individual.
That is also true.
So, what do you mean by gay then?
Being gay is identifying as somebody who is sexually attracted towards another male or the person of their same gender, and then acting upon that as well.
Wait a second. So, if being gay is an identity, actions can't be identities.
Actions are, you see, identities require a set of actions to be acted upon. A set of them.
Oh man, setting up your
Wait
mind
a second.
to.
So, if
setting
I
up-
am not acting, I don't have an identity?
If you have sexual attraction towards the same gender, but you do not enact upon that tendency, you, by definition, cannot be identified as gay.
That's ridiculous. I've been gay my whole life, and I've not been having gay sex my whole life. If you as an example, if a child is straight, he's 5 years old, but he's a straight male, right? He's attracted to a girl, but he's never acted on that. Is he not straight?
He's a virgin.
That
Well,
doesn't
hold on,
answer the
Tartarus. There's an action there with the attraction. It doesn't have to be the consummation
No,
of
he said
that behavior, but to be attracted and to acknowledge that attraction is a type of action.
Sure. So, with respect to the homosexuality, though, if he's saying they haven't acted on it, but they've been attracted, so wouldn't that undermine his position?
No, the thing is, in order to be, first of all, legally defined as gay, and I'm taking up, like I said, there has to be a set of actions that have to be fulfilled in order to uh, get an identity. Now that set can change in regards to the frame of work that you are talking about. If a person is attracted towards men in their personal context, they can consider themselves gay. But when brought into the social construct, they cannot be defined as gay, for they have not fulfilled any social obligation that entails them being gay. Same with any other
So
thing.
this goes back to the virgin question, though. So if you're a child and you've not acted on it, other than being attracted, so if you're attracted, that's your sexuality.
And you
Am I correct?
cannot actually, it is only true in your personal context. A child cannot be defined as heterosexual or homosexual or any sexual besides asexual until they actually have sex.
But wait a second, we
So
just said
when
a
do you
month.
think does a child have sex?
They don't.
So,
That's
so
well, they shouldn't.
Well, no such no such expert defines a children's sexuality that way. Children do have sexuality, you idiots. If they're
They are
attracted to girls,
based,
then they're
like I said.
straight.
No, like I said, uh,
Oh,
there
really?
are frame
I've
of
never had.
works. There
Okay,
are frame
let's
of works.
say.
There's a frame of work of personality. There's a frame of work of culture. There's a frame of work for legal systems.
Okay, Sid. Let's say that you have never been to a hooker and you have been a virgin, or you have never wrote some poems to your fiance. I mean, girls or something like that. Anyways, then you just jacking off to pictures of women online defines you sexless,
No,
like a
it
virgin,
defines me
like
as
being you are
culturally.
you I
It defines me
you
as
think that being
culturally
virgin means
heterosexual.
not having a sex?
No, no, no.
Hold
It
on. I think
defines me
you guys
as
aren't trying to understand Sid's position. Sid is making distinctions about
yes,
like the scope of how these things are being defined.
Okay,
yes.
And
what
you're
about
trying to
like
say you're trying to say that there's like a platonic form to something like virginity or a platonic form to something like homosexuality. But Sid is saying it's in virtue of this that would make you a homosexual or virgin, or it's in
I
virtue of
see.
this. Those things are different. It doesn't have to be like an essence that you're trying to say. Sid is being very clear here, and I feel like you guys are trying to attack this position from like an essentialist point of view. But I think you first need to acknowledge what Sid is saying, and then you can argue for why the essentialist point of view is correct versus this other one, which is in virtue of facts about the world.
Okay, thanks. By the way, I also wanted to mention that when when Sid was talking about like fucking his war prisoners and stuff,
Not
can
mine.
I?
Do not misphrase me.
Yeah, it's not you. It's like you mentioning a possibility. I know. But I wanted to ask. So, uh, isn't like you said that being gay is like hold on, I forgot the word. So can you please pretty quickly tell me what was it that you said made someone gay? Sid.
He asked Tartarus, not me.
What?
Did you ask me?
Yes.
Yeah. For somebody to be gay in respect to their personality or their personal values, they have to be attracted towards the same
Yes,
sex.
attracted. Okay. So don't you think you in that possibility, in that parallel universe, having decided to commit such war crimes to your enemies, isn't that making you attracted to I mean, isn't that action defining you attracted to a gay act? So you are
First,
attracted to doing a gay act on your prisoners. Doesn't that
first,
define you definitively a homosexual?
no. First of all, alienate me from that description because I did not use that for myself. Secondly,
Oh, you did it for yourself, if I
no, I
recall
did not. Do
correctly.
not mispraise me. Do not
Okay.
mispraise me. Anyways, my point here would be, uh, if you, like I said, one action that is alienated does not define the person as the thing to begin with. If somebody is not sexually attracted to the person of the same kind, uh, they cannot be, in the personal retrospect, considered gay. Now, the for
No,
the
wait. I think you're a little
thing
confused.
the
Isn't
thing,
like
yeah,
doing such an
the
act having been
the parallel
isn't doing
universe.
such an act define you have sexually attracted?
No,
Doesn't
no.
I
You
mean
have
you have
to
to be
realize.
attracted to some
No, you
level
have. You
to.
do not. You
I
do
mean, there's
not.
an attraction going on to the person
No,
you're doing.
no. You have to realize this. You have to realize that sexual attraction is not necessary for an aggressive or even a non-aggressive act of sexuality. Even
But
a
you agree that
non-aggressive.
it's a gay act, right?
No.
You don't even
If
agree
that-
that it's a gay act.
Yes, the act is gay. The act is gay.
Oh, okay then.
What do you
That's
mean
all
by
I wanted to
gay
say.
in this case?
The person is having sex with
A gay action.
the person of the same sex.
Okay.
This would be considered culturally gay.
So you're saying that it sounds like you're using gay in two different ways in this instance. But
Yes.
then you also used gay. You said children can't be gay or straight. Do you think they can't be attracted to the same sex?
Well, they should not be.
What can they?
If they can, they are very perverted children, and their parents, be better parents. But
As a
at the
child,
I think Tartarus, I think Sid is making more of a psychological claim now about children. And he's saying that like children that would have this hyperactive sex drive would be sort of outliers. It's not to say that they aren't privy
that's
to the
irrelevant to the
definitions
point.
that he said earlier, but I think he's talking about the psychology of children being different than adults or different than people who are post-puberty.
Sure, but we're trying to lock down what he's calling gay. So in one instance, he's saying it has to
Right.
do
Yeah.
with
I mean,
attraction.
but basically,
He's
what
using
I
gay
think he's
different-
saying with the children, with the
Second.
hypothetical, in response to the hypothetical about children, he's saying it doesn't apply in the same way that like a person with a disability wouldn't apply for questions of personhood. There would be other things about that would go into. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's an analogy there where he's saying, as a marginal case, it doesn't apply to the definition I'm using for what is gay.
It just sounds like special pleading. It sounds like he's trying to use the terminologies in several
Why
different ways
special pleading?
all at once, and it's making it very confusing.
But why is that special
So, like,
pleading to talk
children
about
can't be-
marginal cases?
it is a
So-
justified case, and it is a complicated idea. Yes, it can be very
He's
confusing.
saying, my problem is that he's saying, here's the definition of something. And I said, well, here's something that fits that definition that you're saying isn't that thing. Right? So you have a general rule
No, the
that
thing
he's
is,
saying that I offer an exception to, and he's saying that it's not that thing. Right? That's special pleading. That's definitionally special pleading.
No, he's not. He's not saying that. He's saying that children generally wouldn't apply because they wouldn't have those features, which is different than to say they have the features but still are not gay. That's a different thing.
As a gay child, I can tell you that I had attractions as early as the second
Sure,
grade.
that's fine. That would be a
As
different
do
that would be a
the
different
majority
thing. But
of gay
Tartarus,
people.
what I'm saying, just from a logical standpoint, what Sid is saying is that the child doesn't have those attractions or should not because they would be a malfunction psychologically. That's what he's saying. I'm not saying that's accurate. I'm just talking about the position here. And then from there, he's saying it wouldn't be special pleading in that sense. It just wouldn't fit categorically to the definition.
yes.
That's not consistent. I'm sorry, that's not consistent. He's
It's
special
kind of
pleading.
consistent.
It's not
No,
special pleading, but you can talk about why he's wrong about the psychology of children.
I mean, we can disagree on the psychology of children as to whether or not they should have those attractions.
Well,
That's
in
just a
that
normal
case,
claim, and I don't know
in
what
that
mean.
case, we just
So,
have to.
do they have that?
No, Tartarus, in that case, all we need to do is to fixate the frame of reference. If we just fixate the frame of reference from cultural to personal, in that case, that would fit the definition because on a personal level, the requirements are attraction, not the action. Defining somebody as personally gay is different than defining somebody as culturally gay, and is very different than defining somebody as legally gay.
So, what is gay?
Different answer in different circumstances. And I just mentioned 3 of those.
Okay, so you're saying that children can't have a sexuality at all.
They should
No,
not.
he's saying that it depends on it depends in what way you're using gay, in virtue of what. And then he would
And
give an
and
answer
it-
for the child based on that. In virtue of society, he would say whatever. In virtue of identity, he would say whatever. But he's saying in virtue of what? That's necessary for determining if it's gay or not.
in virtue of the individual.
Yes, that is the personal thing. In the virtue of the individual, if all they need to do is have sexual attraction towards the same gender, that discludes us females and futunaries. Fuck you, punk. Oh, punk's left.
So, sexual attraction without action isn't.
Is not gay in the sense of the culture. We as a third person cannot justly say that person is indeed gay.
I
don't
disagree.
think I disagree with that.
Gay.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I do as well.
On what basis?
Because you're citing that it's action that makes you gay, when that's not what makes you gay. It's romantic attraction that makes you gay.
If you do not enact upon your romantic attraction, now that does not necessarily entail fucking a butt or rubbing your clit with another clit. There are actions entailed.
Do you agree that you can be a virgin and be gay? Oh no, do you agree that you can be a virgin and heterosexual?
I agree to both of those things, but
Okay, so
when it comes to a social setting, a cultural setting, some other action must be included to differentiate it from the personal frame of reference. You cannot just think that you are gay and then not entail any other action so that you can add it onto a cultural or a social setting.
So
There
wait,
must be
Sid,
another
wait.
attribute.
Yeah, Sid. So if you have if you're a man and you have an attraction towards a man, but you've never engaged in sex, are you still gay?
Socially, you would not necessarily need to enact upon the sexual action. There are other aspects that you can involve, such as flirting or openly openly acting in regards to what is culturally considered to be gay things.
If you're a man and you flirt with another man, are you gay?
No, yeah, but basically,
Damn, I'm gay. I'm gay as shit then. Fuck. I flirt with men all the time.
Do you have sexual attraction towards other men? Vegan?
No, not really.
Then you're not gay.
Oh, okay.
There is a primary requirement that starts with your personal identification.
Wait, so in order to flirt with someone, wouldn't you be attracted to them romantically?
Not necessarily.
Men are weird. Okay.
Hey, you're a woman.
I'll flirt with you.
Women flirt with men that they are not sexually attracted to just because they're fucking whores.
So the reason that I'm not understanding is because there are inherent differences between the way women act and the way men act. When men flirt, oftentimes men can flirt with someone, especially other men, and it be completely joking. Women don't. When women flirt, like we flirt, like we there's something behind the flirting.
Have
So
you
that's why
been to a brothel?
Huh?
Have you been to a brothel?
No, they are illegal in the state of Mississippi.
Well, that is very, very good, because in brothels, women will flirt with very, very ugly fucks.
Yeah, but they're still intending to get fucked. Like that, they're still intending to have a sexual relationship there.
But the sexual attraction does not exist.
I don't know. I think in order to have sex with somebody, you got to be like at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Beggars are not choosers, and
But
whores know
but
that.
that's me thinking emotively as a woman. Like men, I think men can sleep around and they don't give a fuck. But like women, I think that when women have sex with someone, I think for the most part there is a lot of a good bit of emotive stuff to it. That's why women in sex trafficking and porn and stuff, they come out so sexually like fucked up because we do apply sex to feelings.
No, Patty, I think because you're one of the few women who are actually qualified to be considered a lady, which is rare, I think you are unable to perceive how fucked up the majority of women around the world are.
By the way, Sid, I came here to sort of apologize if I kind of seemed a little aggressive towards you. But I wanted to say that I think also this time that I kind of do agree with you, but I can't live without my personal beliefs in regards to what defines you homosexual. So are we cool?
Fuck,
No, we're not
shut
cool.
the fuck up, bitch. We are in the slaughterhouse. Stop apologizing.
What? Kiss my ass, motherfucker.
I think what he
Fuck
was saying
my
is he's not offended by what you said.
If he
Okay.
kissed your ass, that was gay.
This is how Sid flirts.
Yeah, don't apologize to Sid. Just tell him to shut the fuck up.
Kiss my raggedy ass, motherfucker.
That would be very
Punk,
Big
I
five
appreciate
six.
you coming in and trying to say a kind word.
This is the
That was
gay
nice.
conversation that's for witness.
No, in what Sid believes, it's just humiliation and not gay. It's just a gay act. It doesn't define you gay in terms of
Wait,
what
so
Sid believes.
I'm
It-
trying to understand. So
When it
Arco,
comes to my personal beliefs and ideology, what I've said is quite homosexual. But in terms of what Sid thinks, it's not, apparently. To Sid.
Well, you're a
So,
fucking faggot.
I'm trying to
do we
understand.
have a
Arco,
normative on this?
yeah, Arco, why would you flirt with a man if you're not attracted to men?
Just for the
It's
fun of it.
fun. Yeah, it's just fun.
Oh, okay. I knew it. I knew it was just a bunch of man nonsense. Y'all are just weird. Like,
I mean,
Weird about it.
so,
Oh, how
Patty,
sexist
Patty.
is that? Oh.
you guys are. Look, like men can do things.
Patty, I'm really offended right now.
Men
I
can
mean-
do things like put their finger up another man's butt and be like, "Ha, I tricked ya," and it be not gay at all.
What the fuck? What happens where you live?
No, my brother-in-law did
That's
that.
an
to me.
American
Like,
thing. That's not happening in Wales, man.
It's pretty, yeah, that's pretty like.
It's
You
called
cannot-
1,000 years of pain.
Y'all cannot sit here and say that y'all can't do shit like that.
My brother-in-law flipped me upside down when I was 17 and did that to me. And to this day, I came out like a year later, and I'm like, you're the first man to ever finger me. You know that?
Patty.
Yeah.
To answer your question about like the flirting and I said it was fun. My intuition is that we are like there's at least some sort of base level of attraction even for our friends, even if it doesn't get to the point of being like a sexual attraction. There is some attractive quality there, and that line between like sexual romantic attraction and then just attraction in a friend way isn't super clear. And I think when I'm like flirting with men, there is probably this very, very tiny amount of physical attraction that I'm unconscious about that maybe is coming out, and I'm like manifesting it with flirting, but it's not enough to push me to the point of like wanting to kiss this person or, you know, suck their dick.
Physical attraction and sexual
That's pretty good.
attraction
I
are
agree with that.
distinct. I honestly think that physical and sexual attraction are distinct and should be considered distinct.
Yeah. Well, I remember like
That's
going
not
to school.
what he said.
But this is why I say like men do crazy stuff like you know kind of like sexual innuendos towards other men and it not be gay at all. Like I remember in school, one of the things that boys would do to other boys is they'd walk up behind them and hump them from behind, and they would just walk up behind them and like slam their hips into the other dude's butt. And I asked my husband about this. I was like, are you guys like just do you guys do that for fun or what why do you guys do that?
I don't do that to women either. I don't go up behind people and just hump them.
That's
Yeah,
As
this
a, as a
was
gay man,
just
I can.
something like it was like super juvenile. It was just something that boys did to their friends and stuff. And I asked my husband, it's like, did you guys do stuff like that when you were kids? You know, like they used to do. They used to make the sex noise. They used to copy women and make a sex noise. And I was like, why do y'all do that? That shit is so gay. Like, why are you doing that?
Patty, can you make the sex noise just so that we all know what it is?
No, I will not.
Oh, go on.
No,
Go on.
fuck that.
No. First of all, you guys are no, you guys are recording this. I'm not doing that.
Oh,
One
go on.
thing-
Make
one
make
thing
the
that
sex
I'm-
noise. Otherwise, we're not gonna know what it is, right? It's not fair.
You guys know damn well what I'm talking about. Every single
SD is
one.
now on a list, everyone. We might need to leave this over.
Whose side should I pick?
I fuck with Patty all the time. It's funny.
But anyway, you know, they used to do that, and I always ask, like, did you guys do that? Like, because my husband's a little bit older, and I'm like, did you guys do that when you were kids? And he's just like, yeah, we used to do that when we were kids. And I was like, y'all
Yeah.
is weird. Like, we don't do shit like that.
I
Women
think
do
that
what,
is
Marge or
once I tell a
something?
guy that I'm gay, because they won't do gay shit like that to you once they know you actually are interested in it.
Oh yeah, that when you know that somebody
Wow,
is gay,
yeah.
you stay the fuck away.
One of
Well,
my
no,
friends
it's
used
just-
to take pictures of his testicles and leave it as the background of my phone in high school. And then I came out and he was like, ew, you're
The
gay.
fuck?
And I was like, you left me pictures of your balls. Like, come on, for real. That's gayer
Yeah,
than me.
odd, isn't it? It's just
Yeah, what the
Standalone
fuck?
action, a standalone
Mm.
action is not sufficient to define a person.
that's
And
very
that is-
progressive, though. Very progressive. Thank you.
I don't know. My thing is that if you are romantically attracted to men, even if you've never had sex, you're gay. You're gay, my friend.
Romanticizing and sexuality are two different things and should be considered.
Fuck no, romanticizing is an expression of your sexuality.
No,
It's an
no,
expression of your
no.
hormones. It's an
What the
expression of
fuck? What
everything
kind of
that's you.
perverted person are
What the
you?
fuck is wrong with you? Romanticizing.
What do you mean by
gay things is being-
romanticized? What?
definition
Explain
Yeah,
the word
exactly.
romanticized.
Exactly. Twisted's got
Loving
it.
somebody, you can love somebody without putting your dick up their ass.
Sure. What do you
Wait, I
mean
used
by
the
the
word
word?
romantic.
But
Explain
loving
the.
somebody isn't romanticizing about them, dumbass.
No. But you're equivocating on the word romanticize, right? So you're meaning a different word to what he means. So what do you mean by romanticize? So do you mean like you can think of that person as like your really close friend and like because I've always had very close female friends, right? And like I've always had close male friends, and they seem very similar, but there's always a certain difference, and those differences lead me to think that I could have a relationship with one but not the other.
Elaborate.
I guess it would be sexual, but it would have to be physical. But it would also be that I can, like, men don't like express themselves emotionally in the same way that women do, and it's very attractive for me that women sort of emotionally lay bare themselves, whereas men don't.
The thing here is, when I say the word romanticize, what I mean is that you wish to stay with that person. Romance is not as same as sexuality. Romance includes emotional connection, not physical connection of putting your dick up somebody's bum. Romanticizing is about sharing your feelings. Romanticizing is about staying in the same room, doing nothing, talking about nothing, and feeling fulfilled. Romanticizing is about going out on a long drive where you say not a goddamn thing and are just, driving through the night sky and you're just feeling relaxed. Romanticizing is about calling your buddy at the 2 a.m. and telling him, dude, life's fucked up, and he's telling you to shut the fuck up and let me sleep.
There's an intimacy. It sounds like romanticism is synonymous with intimacy, and I can agree with that.
No, intimacy is synonymous with sexuality. Romanticism is alienated from that.
I've had gay friends who haven't come out to anyone but me, and they've tried to come out to me in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. But like up until that point, I just thought we were good friends. So there's obviously a crossover point in which male to male friendship turns into homosexual friendship. And I've recognized that point because I've experienced the point in which I go, no, that's enough. No, it stops right there. So I recognize that point. And if you ask a woman, when does a male friend become a non-male friend? They will say, hey, it's that point that you stop pushing at, because I will tell you when you stop pushing, right? And it does differ. It does differ between different people, but there's definitely a strong point at which that stops, right? And I think everyone intuitively knows where that is.
Oh yeah, intuition is a bitch.
Mm.
In a way, it's the best thing we got.
The best thing out there. Anyways, I think that we have been sufficiently gay tonight, and I would have to watch a big ton of heterosexual porn in order to get my meter back to non-gay.
Okay. Well done.
Good night, guys.
That's it.
Good night.
Stay straight.
Stay straight.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was all gay.
So
I didn't get to the button and say I'll stay pansexual.
Thank you.
Sure. Tell us all about it.
This is probably the gayest chat I've had on Discord so far.
Hey, that's great.
We're glad we could facilitate your gayness.
Thank you. It was a romantic affair.
I mean,
kind of
you know,
beautiful.
this server,
I've got moments.
we strive for nothing greater than just allowing y'all gays to come on in here and like talk about your
Well-
gayness.
Would y'all stop saying
you ever look
stupid
at the
shit? I'm trying to
rules,
eat
it's
my
in there.
cookie.
Sorry if we're making you laugh, but that's also another function of the server.
Patty, do you find homosexuality funny? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I think that's what she meant. She was laughing about the fact that you're homosexual. I mean, you should really get into that right now.
You know what, though? I think that homosexual people are probably some of the funniest people.
Mm.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people who are homosexual and are really, really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something about being a minority that makes your life a complete joke. I'm kidding.
The thing
No,
is,
I think there's truth in that, Patty. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Like,
you know, I mean, Patty DM'd me just the other day. I mean, it was completely out of the blue, and she said, "You know what? I think about homosexuals." She said, "They're not even funny. They're horrible
You're
people.
fucking lying.
I just can't stand them. They're just disgusting individuals." That's what she said, and I couldn't understand where it came from.
That hurts, Patty.
He's
I've heard her say
fucking
that a lot,
lying.
actually.
I'm also lying. She didn't say that at all. But
Hey, Vay.
You
What happened to
fucking
Dan?
Nick. No, I'm kidding.
Dan got banned from Arthuria.
SD heard it.
He did, huh?
Yeah, I
Oh,
heard.
wow.
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince everyone here that he's not a troll. Everyone here thinks that the guy's a troll. 100% troll.
I think he's totally honest. Like, I think that's his
Yeah, he's
actual
completely
position.
honest.
Look, I have a, like, this is just my own personal thing, but I have a, like, major problem accepting that he's being real. I mean, you guys think he is, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
1v1
so it's
people
sort
on
of-
his own server.
It's sort of like it's a double-edged sword, because he is representing his real positions with unreal things. Like,
Yeah.
the way that he's talking about it and arguing for it is in a very trolly way, but that's like on top of the foundation, which is like he does want to kill all domesticated animals, including pets.
So you
Yes.
think
Yeah.
he's actually serious then? That's
Yeah, 100%. I think he's serious.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess I've got to go with the majority because I've asked this of a lot of people and everybody says, yeah, he's actually serious. I just struggle with the notion that anybody actually has that position, but if you're telling
Me
me
too.
that's his position, then I
I
guess
mean,
it is.
especially a vegan. It seems like
Yeah.
such a cognitive dissonance to me that a vegan would hold that position. But as I've like come to understand it, I think it's like a utilitarian thing. Like he thinks that all of these animals are leading to lots of like environmental problems, and climate change is a really urgent issue, and the only way to fix it is to kill all domesticated animals. Like I think that's his position. Obviously there's a lot of flaws there.
So obviously you know him. Well, I mean, quote unquote, know him better than I do. But do you think that if he actually had the choice, like say he could push a button or something, do you think he'd pick to just like kill all domesticated animals to support his position? Do you think he'd actually do it? Is he that nuts?
It's hard to say. I mean, my intuition is that he would respond yes to that. Like, of course, there are all these like unconscious things that come into play when someone's faced with pushing the button, but my best guess would be he'd do it. Like he'd at least be able to rationalize himself into it.
You think he would though?
Yeah, but I mean that's just like a
Wow.
gut feeling. I could
Yeah,
be
no,
inaccurate
sure.
about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I'm not asking you to like commit to saying that yes, he definitely would. It's just wondering what you thought.
Oh wait,
so.
I've asked him that question. I've asked him that.
You have?
I've asked him. I asked him, does he know that in third world countries, livestock is used to keep people fed, like with labor, carrying heavy objects, and harvesting crops? And he said, yeah, he knows. And so I asked him, well, if you had the choice to push a button, and all of it is gone, and you knew the result would be billions of people starving to death because of that, would you still push the button to get rid of them? And he said, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. And also, there's also like in a first world country, there are circumstances where I can think of like using animals is still important. Like one of which being, companion dogs for people with PTSD, especially like veterans coming back. Like that's a really powerful treatment for them. And those dogs are bred specifically so that they have the temperament to be this type of companion animal for someone who can be a little bit volatile. On top of that, there are other situations like, for example, when we talk about our national parks and going backpacking and camping and stuff like that, we don't have the technology to get in there very easily. Like, of course, you could do a helicopter and fly over, but you can't land a helicopter everywhere. But one thing you can do is you can ride a horse. Anywhere a human could walk to, a horse could go in there, and you could put this person who's injured on the horse and bring them out. So having forest rangers who are using horses, patrolling to make sure that people are safe and like providing medical care out in the wild, I think is really important for going out into the woods and backpacking, which is also important for like keeping these forests around and protecting them.
Yeah, that seems
those
like
are two examples.
a reasonable position.
Yeah, same things like cadaver dogs and bomb squad dogs and those type of animals.
Right. And then there's the whole like fucking minefield of medical testing for vaccines and stuff.
Yeah.
That is a minefield. I will definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is like Nick and I, Nick Lyston, you guys know who Nick is, but
yeah, I know Nick.
Sure.
Yeah, me and him had a really deep-hearted, like heart-to-heart conversation, where Nick asked me if I knew, because you guys know Nick used to experiment on monkeys. That was his like profession.
Right.
And he asked me, as someone who's not vegan and actually kills animals for food, if I was conducting an experiment and this experiment was actually causing the monkey pain and harm, You know, maybe like they're experimenting on the monkey's brain and its brain is exposed and they're experiencing tons of suffering because of it. Would I stop the experiment? Would I put the animal down? Would I feel mercy? Animal, like, yeah, absolutely, like risk to not do it. That and Nick found that really interesting because that's
Yeah,
you know
I tell
medical
you what
science. And he asked me,
I've got to give
sorry,
him
real quick,
props. Yeah, no, no.
real,
I was
real,
just gonna say I'm giving props for being a
yeah.
genuine kind of person. You go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he, you know, he even mentioned like even though you knew dementia, and I was like, yeah, I'd stop. I would not do it anymore. It's just nah.
Right. Right.
I
But
mean,
yeah, like you said,
I'm
SC, Nick
always
is a good guy.
yeah, he is. He definitely is. I'm always up for like talking to
Yeah.
Nick. We DM sometimes. He's a good guy, I think.
He,
Oh
I
yeah,
think he's,
very
I think
good.
he's really, I'm really glad he's on Discord because a lot of like younger and new vegans can see him representing this reasonable position
Yeah.
and being a reasonable person because vegans say some whack shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too true. Too true, man.
Yep. Well,
Too
you know
true.
what? Nick was, you know, I had asked, and I always talk about ask yourself server or whatever, but in ask yourself server, I asked them if I could have the pinata roll. Um, and I just wanted the pinata roll because I just wanted to like have this joking pinata on my roll. But he said, oh, but they said, Bryn said that that's a very special roll, and you have to talk to Nick to how to get that roll. And I was sitting here like, Nick is like the kind of vegan that you guys should be looking up to. He's been doing it for like more than 10 years, and you guys are like shitting on him because he's not some
Wait,
sort of
Nick
like
has the pinata roll?
Someone told me to check with Nick in order to get the pinata roll. Basically, they were saying that like Nick ain't shit, basically like that.
Oof.
And it's like, but that's the
Yeah,
thing,
you
like
know
Bullshit.
why?
all these,
It's because Nick is
He's
reasonable
reasonable.
and they are not. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, why would you want to shit on someone who's been a vegan for so long? He's a, you know, he knows the inside out even of like medical research on animals. He's someone that you guys should be asking questions, but you guys just shit on,
Yeah.
you know, they just shit on the older vegans because older vegans don't really I asked
Yeah, we
Hummus
don't
Hero
care.
this. I was like, yeah, I was like, Hummus Hero, why are older vegans not as vocal as the young ones? And Hummus was like, because we have nothing to prove. We've done it. We've been
Yeah.
vegan for
Hummus
30
is
plus
a
years.
good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like hummus too. I feel bad
Yeah.
what
me
happened to
too.
him in Arthuria.
Oh, what happened?
I tried to get him back, but he wasn't interested.
I know. Well, we brought him back. He at least came back to talk to the mod team,
Okay.
and we had a big dispute about it, and
Uh-huh.
it was
What
a really
happened?
difficult conversation. So do you know Carlos and Ex Machina?
Uh-huh.
I know it's smacking, yeah.
Yeah. So Carlos, I have my suspicions about who Carlos is, but
Yeah, so do
Carlos,
I.
Bryn?
yeah, I think he's Avi,
Albie. Oh, okay.
but he's like a devil's advocate position where he takes like he's vegan, but he argues like as a sophist, just like using the worst tactics he can in the debate. So I feel like it's sort of like his outlet account where he doesn't have to like try and maintain being totally logical the whole time, you know. And also it's an account to like teach people how to be better advocates for veganism. That's what I think the reasoning behind this account is. Anyways, Carlos and Machina came into Arthuria and they wanted to debate vegans. And they made it clear in text that they were devil's advocates. Hummus didn't see that text. Hummus accepted debating them about the moral imperative of veganism, which as a proposition, that is like the worst fucking proposition to take on as a vegan, because anyone can just be like, there's no moral imperative for anything, let alone veganism, and you can't win, you know, it's dead on arrival. So as a devil's advocate position, like it's sort of like, it's like showing up to box, but you've got a baseball bat, you know? And they were setting that up, and Hummus was like, "Oh yeah, I can definitely do this," and took on the proposition. And I was like, "Hummus is gonna get wrecked by Carlos and Machina." So I volunteered to debate with him and make it a 2-on-2 debate. And there's a recording of this too. And before the debate, I sent a message to Hummus and I said, "Be careful. These guys are sophists. They're not good faith debaters." I was under the assumption that he knew it was devil's advocate, so I didn't tell him it was devil's advocate. We get into the debate. The debate's going on, like the typical kind of thing where you say something and then there's a derail on like an equivocation that was made, and it goes on for a long time. And at one point, Carlos and Machina basically like smelled blood because they thought Hummus was what they call an all-lifer. This idea that all life has equal moral value. But that's not what Hummus was saying necessarily. Hummus was saying that to talk about value by itself is already like incorrect, but he wasn't able to articulate that idea. So whenever they would ask him just straightforwardly, like, "Oh, do you think that the ant and the human have the same right to life?" And Hummus would say yes. And then he would try to explain why he was saying yes. They just like hammered him home and offered these hypotheticals. And I like was like trying to jump in. And I was like, at one point I cornered Carlos about his like position of being that something has to be morally contingent. Even though he was pretending to be a moral particularist, like he kind of forgot, and I cornered him. And as soon as that happened, he backed off and was like, "Let's go back to Hummus. You're derailing, blah, blah, blah." And then Hummus was stuck arguing this position about like, in the hypothetical of you're driving to work, there's a line of ants. You have to run over the ants or you lose your job because you'll be late. What do you do? And Hummus was like, "Well, of course I go to work, but it's also immoral that I run over the ants, blah, blah, blah." And so then like this whole thing about moral imperative got involved, and it just escalated, and more people started yelling and yelling and yelling until finally Hummus was being called like an idiot or a retard or stuff like that. And we have a rule in Arthuria: if you don't ask for a moderator, you don't moderate the debate, which is like the one place you can do insults like that. And Hummus didn't realize that. It wasn't clear in our rules that would be the case. So then Hummus got really mad. He left the debate and as he was about to leave, they admitted it was devil's advocate and that they were vegan and that they were just doing this to talk about like unreasonable positions. At that point, I just conceded the debate because I had lost my partner, and I was like, "Well, look, the proposition is there's a moral imperative for veganism. I don't think I've made the case. I'm just going to say you guys won. Let's call it a night. I'm going to go to bed." Then Hummus comes back in. Stone is like, "Look, you left the debate. Arco conceded. The debate is over. If you want to keep debating, you can. But at this point, they're devil's advocates. So like you're going to keep debating sophically, basically." And then Machina and Carlos just were like totally teasing him, like getting to the point of kind of cyberbullying them. People in text chat were like saying really mean stuff. And we were telling the people in text chat who were saying mean stuff they couldn't do it. And like we warned them, we kicked some people. And it was just like a really crazy night. The next day, Hummus left. And then we had a conversation about it. We explained the rules. We admitted that our rules were unclear and we could have done a better job being clear about moderation rules. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm just not going to be part of a server where that would happen in any case." And I don't like what happened. So he bounced.
I heard that secondhand, and that does sound very accurate from what I've heard. To be honest,
nice.
It sounds fine, man. Just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
That sucks. That is so fucked up.
Yeah.
You can't do deontology. I mean, in my opinion, with veganism, you just can't.
Right. It has to be